Hello. In this session, we're going to be creating a Walking Dead-esque kind of title sequence. So before I get done for copyright, if you haven't seen The Walking Dead, go watch it. It's awesome. Now, hopefully, I'll be able to show you something similar to it. Cool. So this is what we're going to be creating in today's session. Okay, so we've got a few things going on here. We've got this Tex Chandler Riggs going across a little bit. We've got this sort of grungy, dirty texture sort of moving a little bit. We've actually got a 3D camera in there, and then we've got a background. We've grunged up this text a little bit. Funnily, I shouldn't really use an image of water because it gives it away that it's not real footage because it's not moving. So that was an issue on my part. But again, you can see we've got this grungy, sort of dirty texture. We've grunged up the text, and then we've got it again on this one. They are a little bit longer than the ones on the actual Walking Dead title sequence, but it's just to show you how it's achieved. And then with this one, I picked the wrong photo. It says you're the best dad in the whole wide world. So, you know, when you're getting your images to use, either take them yourself or, you know, get ones which don't have stuff like that that's distracting on there. And then we come into the last bit where we've got a flickering light, which I'll show you how to do, and we've got this grungy texture again that's sort of animating like so. Okay, so let's get started. Get out of this. So I just wanted to show you the composition. Okay, so our final one has got this solid on top, which acts like a flickering light. We've got a wiggle on the opacity, which I'll go into and show you how to do. Very easy. So this is the first bit, the Chandler Riggs. Then we got each composition here is a different name, and they're about 16 to 24 seconds long, so it's about 8 seconds each. And then we got the Walking Dead theme music at the bottom. So if we look in this one, this is Chandler Riggs' one. We've got image in the background. We've got this grunge texture on top, which has got a blend-in mode of multiply. Then we've got a 3D camera, which animates. So if I show you the top view and I zoom out, you can see this is our camera. I think this is our grunge layer, which is a lot closer to the camera, basically right at the field of view. And then we've got this in the background, and the camera, you can see, moves left to right. So we've got some parallax in there, okay? And then I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's go back to active camera, which is your normal view. And you've got this text Chandler Riggs, which is another pre-composition. So double click in there, and we've just got a text layer with a grunge texture on top, and I've used a Luma track matte, and I'll be going over all of this today. So again, I've imported all my assets in already. You know, I've put them into folders. Like, I imported loads of them, put them into folders. So I click a folder, name it whatever you want, and it's done. But I'm going to get rid of that one, down to the trash bin. So I've got all my images imported. They're like backgrounds, grunge textures, stuff like that. So let's start. So I'm going to composition, new composition, call it C Riggs title. Okay, HDTV 1080-25. That's what we want. 25 frames per second. We don't want this more than. We don't want it 14 seconds. 10 is more than enough. Click OK. So we've got a new composition. First thing I want to start with is I want to type his name. So let's get the text tool, type Chandler Riggs. And I don't like this typeface at all. It's not Walking Dead-esque. So let's drag it in, highlight it, and I'm going to filter through and try as quickly as I can to find a Walking Dead-ish title sequence. I think Impact will do, actually. So this is kind of what I'm wanting. So we've got that. Let's just put it by there because that's the kind of position we'll go into. Now next, I've got some of these grungy images, which is, you can see the thumbnail up there. Sorry, undo that. So you can pick any one of the grunge images you want. I'll go for a black and white one for this grayscale grunge image. I'm going to go for this one. Click and drag it down. Okay, so that appears on top, and I'm just going to quickly scale it so it fills the complete text, like so. So it's on top, okay? Now, in order for this to affect our text, the method I'm going to use today instead of blending modes is a track matte, okay? Now, if you can't find them, just they're there, just click the toggle switches and we got them. So on the Chandler rigs, all I want you to click is Luma Matte, and you can see that this this grunge layer is then eating away at that text, and that's a really nice, quick, dirty way of, making sort of worn away text, okay? And you can see it actually turns that layer off. It uses the luminance of that layer to sort of show through in just the text, okay? So cool, we're done with that. Now I want to pre-compose these and put them in their own composition. So if you shift select them both, hit Control Shift C, and we'll name this, make sure move all attributes into new composition is clicked. We'll name it Chandler Rigs Text. Click OK. So now if you double click this, let's close all of these old ones which I was working on earlier, just so they don't get confusing. So we've got C-Rigs title, which inside has got Chandler Rigs text. So if we double click, it's just these layers in there, okay? So it's like a kind of folder system. Next thing I want to do is look through these images and think, right, which one am I going to use? And I think I'm going to go with, let's go with this one. I think this is the one I used before. Click and drag it below. Okay, so that's coming really big. So let's hit S and scale it down. Okay, we'll probably be altering the scale later, to be honest. So there we go, we've got that one. Next I'm going to get another grunge layer, this one will do, click and drag it on top of this one. And I want to change this blending mode. I think I'm going to use multiply. Yeah, and let's scale it down. Okay, something like that. Okay, so right now we've got our text layer, and this can come on top actually, so it affects that. Nah, it's too much on the text actually. Let's keep it there for now, sorry. So we've got grunge on multiply, we've got our text imported, and we've got our background, okay? Now what I want to do is I want to start working in 3D, or it's actually 2.5D, but we won't go into that. So what I want to do is, again, click toggle switches, and you've got this cube. This means each layer will be 3D. So let's click that for each layer, okay? So now each layer is 3D, right? So before we do anything else, we want to make layer new camera, and I will go into the details in another video of all these settings, but for now just click OK. Right, so I'm going to go a little bit slower now. If we go to where it says one view and click that and hit 2, we've now got 2 views that we can move in and out of. We want one of them, this one or any, to be top, which it is. So if it's not, just click top and then click in here, and we want this one to be active camera, which it is. So as you click between them, you can see these change. So that's top. Right, now let's move that with the middle mouse button and zoom in. So all of our layers, our 3 layers, are all on the same sort of Z. They're all in the same sort of. Now this background layer, I want this to be in the background. So this little blue arrow, just click it out, because remember we're looking from on top, and move it way into the background, something like out here, and then let's wait for this one. Because we've moved it further away from the camera, once it loads, once it caches in, because we moved it further away from the camera, when we look at it, when it eventually loads, it's going to look, the reason mine's taking a while to load is because I've got it on the wrong renderer. If this is your case, and change it to 3D renderer, change it to classic 3D, and that's going to be okay. Now that's going to be a lot quicker. There we go. Sorry about that. You can see now that we've moved it back in Z space, it's a lot smaller. So let's get the S and scale it up so it fills. Okay, that's cool. Now the Chandler Riggs text and the grunge, I'm going to keep them right at the front. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to animate the camera moving left from right. So let's go to the camera, click the drop down, go to transform. I want to, at the beginning, make a keyframe for point of interest, position and orientation. Okay, for those three. Now what I want to do is I want to move the camera from left to right. So let's move it over left a little bit, and it goes a little bit off, but that's fine. Don't worry about that. Cool. So that's those keyframes, and then I want to come forward to about 4 seconds, and I want to now move this across so it has a little camera movement like so. Okay, right, let's have a look at where we are. So you can see things aren't really matching up, so what we need to do is we need to make, I think this background needs to be bigger, so let's make this background bigger like so. So now let's go to one view at the moment so it's easier to see. There, so the background's always in there. Now this grunge layer, you can see at the beginning it's off a bit, so we're going to scale up with S this grunge layer a touch. Okay, like that. And this Chandler Riggs text, does it go out? Yeah, it goes out a little bit. So we'll just move this Chandler Riggs text in a touch. Okay, but we also want to keyframe this, so actually go to the beginning and move it back to about here because we want to keyframe this move in. So for this text, let's hit P, select a keyframe, and by the end of this 4 seconds we want it to have moved that way. So let's play that through now. So you can see that moves and we've got something nice going on. What I may want to do is give it a play through. Let's fit that, and let's give it a play through. Because what you should see, because the grunge layer is closer to the camera than the background, what you should see is the grunge layer moving quite a bit faster. Okay. So let's see if that actually happens. Let's give it a little bit of time to play through. I'm not actually a fan of the grunge texture being on top of the text, so I might not go with that. I may put the grunge layer, the text above the grunge layer. I'm not a fan of it, but we'll see how it plays through now. Hopefully the grunge is moving a little bit more faster than the background, so there'll be a little bit of parallax in there, but let's see now when it plays through. Okay, so you can see the grunge layer is moving a little bit faster, so there's that depth to it, which is what that camera does. I'm going to move this Chandler Riggs text on top. I don't like it being not on top. So this is our first one done. You know, what I will do is with this grunge layer is I'm going to go to my effects and presets just to emphasize that depth. I'm going to give it a blur. So type in blur, and I'm going to use just use a cheap dirty one, Gaussian blur. Click and drag that onto your grunge, and let's put that to about 5. No, let's put that to 15. Let's see if that blurs it more. Okay, maybe split the difference and go 10. Oh, 10. Okay, there we go. I'm liking that. So I'm going to do a second one for you, just so you know, kind of, you can go ahead now and do the rest of them just using this process, but I'm going to do the second one. So I'm going to go composition, new composition, and let's name it. Who's another character we were going to do? Oh, I can't remember. Let's have a look at my other compositions. Can't remember the name of him. Andrew Lincoln. Let's do him. Composition, new composition, Andrew Lincoln title. Let's click OK. 10 seconds is fine. Let's go. We want to type the words first. Andrew Lincoln, and the same as we did last time, just put it somewhere up there or something. Get a grunge texture, put it on top, shrink it down so there's more sort of detail in there. Okay, and let's go for toggle switches, give it a luma matte so it kind of eats into it a bit. Okay, now we want to pre-compose these. Control Shift C. Let's call this Andrew Lincoln text. Make sure move all attributes is selected. Click OK. Alright, so next let's get this background scale up. It's not the best because it's quite small, but it doesn't really matter for this, just showing you how to do it. Let's scale up, something like that. Let's get a grunge texture. This one. Let's put it on top in between the text layer and everything. And let's change this to multiply like we did before. You can have a play around with them, see what works best for you. And let's scale it just down a bit. We will, again, we'll have to rescale when we make the camera anyway. So let's do that. Layer, new, camera, click OK. And if you haven't got any 3D layers yet, it'll just say you need to do this. So let's make the layers 3D. Toggle switches, click, click, click to make them 3D. Let's put the camera on top. Okay, so now let's go to our two views. And let's shrink this in a bit so we got more room. So you can see this is our camera, and these are the three other layers. Now, like we did before, we need to push this background layer way into the background. So in Z space, push it all the way out here so we got some depth, okay? And then I'm going to hit S and scale it up so it fills the frame. Okay, like that. And I want to leave the grunge layer and text layer where they are. Let's come into the camera settings. Let's go to transform, come to the beginning, keyframe, point of interest, position, and I don't need to do orientation actually. Come forward. Now let's move it to the side first. So move it to the side like so. Like that. Okay. And let's come forward 4 seconds. And click and drag and it'll make another keyframe. Okay. And because we've got a bit on the edge missing here, I'm just going to scale the grunge up slightly. Oh no, it's not the grunge we need to do, it's the background, so scale that up slightly. So it covers, there you go. And so far we have, let's go back to one view. So far, let's have a look, we have this. It'll take a while to preview, but again I'm going to animate the text moving left to right so that we have that moving as well and it doesn't get cut off. I'm only going to preview to there because you know you've seen this before, but just by doing a few simple actions, you know, we've got a nice animation. I want to remember to blur this grunge layer, so let's drag Gaussian blur onto it. And we set that to 10 before. See how that works. I did that again. 10. And yeah, I like that. Maybe push this one to 12. Okay, so we've got that. I'm just going to very quickly animate this text. So come to the beginning, hit P. Start off just by here. Set a keyframe, come to 4 seconds. Drag it to the side like that, so it goes like so. Actually that's not far enough. Just come to that keyframe, drag it some more. There we go, so we got a nice little animation. Okay, so that's looking good. Now for the next two I wanted to do the other people. What are their names? Stephen UN, I think. Let's have a look at my compositions. So do it for 2 more people. I've shown you 2. Do it for Stephen UN and Norman Reedus, so just pick 2 random names, or 2 names from The Walking Dead would be good. Do it to 2 more, and then yeah, I'll join you once you've done that. Okay, So you join me back in After Effects where I've got the first two which I showed you. Chandler Riggs, 4 seconds long, Andrew Lincoln, 4 seconds long, Norman Reedus, 4 seconds long, and Stephen Yuen, 4 seconds long. Okay, so before I start putting these all together, if it's only 4 seconds long, we don't want to drag these compositions into a new one with an extra 6 seconds. So what we want to do, set our work area to those 4 seconds, and right click and click Trim Comp to Work Area. So now it just trims it to these 4 seconds, and do that for each of them. So again, I'll drag this down to the end of the animation, right click, Trim Comp to Work Area, and it's just those 4 seconds now. And again, right click, Trim Comp to Work Area, and again, drag it up, right click, Trim Comp to Work Area. So these are all 4 second compositions now. Next thing I want to do, composition, new composition, final title sequence, and we want it to be, so there's 4 times 4 seconds, plus we're going to have an end one, so let's just make it 22 seconds. Click OK. Okay, so now it's an empty one. We want Andrew Lincoln title, control, hold control or command, Norman Reedus, Stephen Yuen, Chandler Riggs title. Click and drag these in, and then we've got them all in there. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to do one after the other. Now there's 2 ways to do this. You can either click and drag them like so and keep on doing that, that's one way, or you can highlight them all, right click, go to Keyframe Assistant and Sequence Layers, and click OK, and then you can see it'll just do one after the other. Okay, and the last thing we want to do is we want to actually create a Walking Dead title screen. So let's go to the end by here and type one of the images I used was this colour grunge. Okay, drag it in, and that's that one. So let's scale it up, and I just like it. Wasn't for the colour that I got this. I just kind of liked the sort of style of it. So in order to make it look more like Walking Dead, I'm going to use a effect called Hue and Saturation. Click and drag that on, and now we've got this. I'm going to click Colorize, and it just gives it one colour, and if you click and drag this hue, it'll give it one kind of like that. You've got the saturation here, but I'm going to desaturate it a little bit and use lightness and bring it down, maybe take a little bit more colour out of it. Something excuse me, something like that. Okay, so by using this effect we go from this to this. Now I want to type the words "the" on there, and let's make that a little bit brighter, like so. I need to highlight it first, that would be good, wouldn't it? A little bit brighter, "the," and then I want to type Walking Dead separately so they come in later. Walking Dead. I can't spell walking. Okay, right. So Walking Dead, I want this text to be bigger. Something like that will do. And then let's move this sort of down just by there. Okay. So, like we did before, I want to grunge this text up. So let's turn off all these other layers and drag these text layers down to the bottom. Okay. So I want to get some grunge texture. This one will do. Put it on top. Let's scale it down. I just want to grunge up these titles. So let's do it one by one because they're different. Because we want to do the we want to do Walking Dead different to the word "the." So let's do that. Right, so that's across the text, and then let's go track mats, and on Walking Dead, Luma matte, and then you can see us sort of eaten away now. Let's pre-compose these together. So Shift select both, Control Shift C, Walking Dead text. Click OK, and so that's in one pre-composition now. Again, get this back down, and let's scale it down. So it's just on top of the word "the." Again, you know what I'm going to do on the word "the," Luma matte, and it's just eaten. You can tell it's eaten it away. maybe only very slightly, but you can use different grunge layers and stuff. And let's pre-compose these. So shift click on both, Control Shift C, and the text. Okay, so we've got both of our texts there, so that's good. Now we may want to reposition them. I probably would, but I'm not going to. I can do it quickly. And then Walking Dead. Okay, so I don't want them to be on for the whole thing. I only want them to start at 16 seconds once everything else is finished. So you can either click and drag so they start later, or if you get your time slider in the right place, use page up and page down keys if you need to. Go Alt and open bracket keys, Alt and open square bracket key, like that. And I'm going to do the same with this background. Alt, open square bracket key. Okay, so they start then after all of this. Now, what I may do is shift select all of these, and actually first I'm going to add a vignette to it. So the way I do that, layer, new, solid. Let's make this a black solid, and click OK. So it's just a black solid on top. Make sure this starts again the same as them, and I'm going to put it on top of the text as well. And what we want to do is go up here, hold and click down to get the ellipse tool, and with this black solid selected, double click so it makes a mask which appears here. Then what you want to do is click this drop down, and you want to make sure it's subtract, so it's on the outside, and let's feather it like so. Just drag that feather, and I may bring the opacity down a touch like that. So now we've got that. So I want to shift select all this stuff, and Control Shift C or Command Shift C to pre-compose, and we'll call it title screen, and click OK. And again we'll just Alt click so this composition starts by here. So let's turn these on. So we've got that, which are those, Norman Reedus, Stephen UN, and Chandler Riggs, and then we've got this final title. Now the last thing I'm going to do is add a flicker. Okay, so I'm going to go layer, new, solid, and I'm going to get a sort of bright, sort of yellowy, sort of solid like this, something like that. Okay, click OK, and click OK, and that's going to go on top. I want to change the blending mode to, let's have a look, multiply, no, lighten, no, let's have a quick look through here, colour burn, no, linear burn, no, let's have a look, saturation, no, can't remember which one I used, colour, no, screen, no, which one did I use, which one was it? I'm going to go back into my other composition just to have a quick look. Title sequence, and it was soft light, and it was a bit of a paler yellow. Okay, so where was my other one? Final title sequence. So soft light was the one I wanted to use, and yeah, that's nice. But I'm going to make the yellow a little bit paler. So if you want to alter the colour, go to Layer with it selected, Layer, Solid Settings, and I'm going to make this yellow paler like that. Okay, and click OK, and OK. Now what I want to do, I want to have this flicker in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hit T, so we've got the opacity. Let's set it to 50. Okay, and we're actually going to do an expression in this, and we've covered expressions before, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a wiggle. So let's do Alt click the stopwatch, and I'm going to type wiggle, open brackets, and how many times a second do I want it to do it? I want it to do it 4 times a second. Let's put a comma in, and I want it to differ by a value of 30. So close brackets. Now it's on 50 by here because I brought it down, so it's going to go up to 80 and down to 20, so 30 either side. So it'll flicker throughout. So it's more visible on the end bit. So let's do this bit and hit play. So you can see, kind of does that. So let's wait till it all caches in, and that may even be too strong, but we'll have a look now. So there you can see us sort of flickering. And that's a little bit too much for me, so what I'll do is I'll change this. Let's first of all delete that and put this to 25. Okay, and let's alt click again, type in wiggle, maybe 5 times open brackets, maybe 5 times a second, but only differing by 15. Let's do that. Okay, so let's see how this one works. It'll flicker more often, so 5 times a second instead of 4, but it's not going to value won't alter as much. So the good thing with wiggles is you can just change a few numbers and it'll you'll get such different results. So let's wait for that to cache in, and there we go. That's looking nicer, and it'll do it throughout the whole thing because this layer is on all of it, so you'll see it a little bit in there when it caches in, but I'm not gonna you can see a little bit there flickering. So only other thing I want to do is get the audio of The Walking Dead, click and drag below, and then you've got the audio in there. So let's have a look. Give it a play. If it plays on mine. There you go. And if you want to fade it down, just click down here, audio, set a keyframe for 0, which is the default kind of when it comes in. Set a keyframe, move forward to the end, and let's go -50. And if you click the waveform, you can see it goes down like that. So that's done. So cheers for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next session.